Welcome. I'm going to be walking you through a guided meditation today on courage to change. It's really simple. Anybody can follow it, and it's only going to take a few minutes. I'm going to show you a really simple, basic way on how to clear foreign energy that might be affecting you in your courage or your will to change. And that could be change anything. And so how we're going to be working on that is with the concept of your next step. Now, there are so many different next steps. That's why I like to use that concept. It's very broad. A next step could be getting a job. A next step could be literally learning how to take your next step physically. If you've been injured and you're in rehab and you're learning how to rewalk, a next step could be working on yourself, trying to improve something about your behavior. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you have trouble sleeping at night, and your next step is really working on how to better your sleep habits. Now, there might be a lot of energy on you being able to better your sleep habits, and that's what we're going to address today in this simple meditation. So you don't have to worry about what it is that is your next step. We're going to take the energy of your next step and look at that. So today, for this meditation, we're going to be using our good old friend, the clear bubble. We love using the clear soap bubble because we can use this as a symbol to invite all of the energy of your next step into. And then that way, in one area, we can imagine that we're containing the energy of your next step and do a little bit of energy healing on it. So what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and find a comfortable chair to sit in so that your feet can be planted flat on the ground about hips distance apart and that your back is straight. I don't recommend doing this laying down or on your bed because it's pretty relaxing and you'll probably just start snoozing. So go ahead and do this meditation in a chair and close your eyes. You'll be using an image out in front of you like a white movie screen. So I'm going to call this your personal movie screen. And as you close your eyes, try to see if you can focus all of your attention behind your eyes in a place that's called the center of your head. And if you want to imagine collecting up your energy from everything that you've done already today, collect it up and bring your focus right into the center of your head. We'll start by putting a grounding cord on, which we do for all of our meditations. And you can always find out how to use a grounding cord by downloading my audio, Let's Ground, on my website, Unleash Your Ultimate Potential. I'll just walk you through a simple version of that. And you're going to find a place at the base of your spine, which is located right by a spinning energy center called your first chakra. And imagine drawing a line of energy from the base of your spine all the way down, straight through the floor of the room that you're in, way deep, deep down into the center of the planet. So that line's going way down there. And when you draw that line at the center of the planet, imagine a way for that line to be anchored in firmly to the center of the planet. This is how we visualize gravity automatically working with us. It makes grounding very easy because all you really have to do is learn how to recognize the foreign energy that has built up in your space and release it. So ground yourself to the center of the planet. And if you like to use a visual to enhance the idea of being able to release energy down that line, you can turn it into a waterfall or put some oil on it. Imagine that it's very slippery. You could let it grow roots into the planet. However you want to construct your very own grounding cord. Good. All right. Well, with your focus of attention right in the center of your head, I'd like you to look out on your white movie screen and go ahead and create an image of a clear soap bubble. As I said earlier, we'll use this symbol to magnetize, if you will, the energy of your next step into this bubble. So after you create the visual of a simple soap bubble, go ahead and have the postulate and think to yourself, okay, I'm going to let all the energy of my next step go into this bubble out here in front of me that I'm looking at. For those of you that feel like you can't see anything, don't even worry about it. I know that there are many ways to get information, and one of them is hearing it, another is sensing it or feeling it, and sometimes you just know the answer. So however you interpret the energy of that bubble, it's fine. And the first thing you're going to do is to put a grounding cord on this bubble, because we want to anchor this bubble also to the center of the planet, so that whenever you start seeing energies that you believe are not supposed to be in your next step, you can just automatically release them and let gravity take them away. All right. So now that you have your bubble grounded and anchored to the center of the planet, you might get a sense of or take a look at what colors are in that bubble, because those colors will represent the energy of taking your next step. Now, if they're dark and grim looking, that's okay, because we're going to do a healing on it right now. But somewhere in there should be a bright energy vibration of a color that is in affinity with you, that represents the true energy of your next step. And it's possible that you can't get a sense of that yet, and that might be because you have a lot of foreign energy in taking your next step. So the very first thing we're going to do is I want you to get a sense of the energy in that bubble, and wherever you either notice or feel darker, heavier energies that you can tell really aren't in agreement with you taking your next step, all you have to do is a simple acknowledgement and let them start grounding down the grounding cord. So I want you to go ahead and take a few moments now and see if you can't start to release energies in the bubble that are clouding it up or making it dark, or casting like white clouds in it. These energies you'll find most likely are not yours. Go ahead and start to see if you can release some of the darker energies that you might see. Okay, good. Now, it's pretty easy to release energy if you can be neutral to it. So maybe you might be getting a sense of some very dark, heavy energy in your next step. But when you are focused in the center of your head, you'll find you have a lot more neutrality to look at a broad range of energies and be able to just simply acknowledge them, and then gravity will just pull them out of the bubble for you. And don't worry, your energy is not going to release out of the bubble, because that's what we're trying to do, is create more space for your energy and your information on your next step to be the dominant energy in the bubble. Notice if you can tell of any colors that look to you like they're colors that you would really like to have in your next step bubble. And maybe you can get a sense of what those colors represent to you. I have a couple of energy vibrations I was going to have you specifically remove because they are ones that I have found affect many people when they go to take their next step, whatever that next step is. So I'm going to call out about 4 energies, maybe 5. And when I do, I want you to see if you can get a sense if there's any of that particular energy in the bubble, and go ahead and just acknowledge it, whatever color it is, and let gravity pull it out. Okay, the first energy I'm going to have you look for, and important to stay in the center of your head so that you're neutral to it, is fear. That's one of the big energies and emotions that we hit as we go to look at our next step. We can become overwhelmed with all the different things that apply to taking that next step. So wherever you see the color or sense the energy of fear, go ahead and just let that color release out of the bubble. Now, if you notice that you experience some fear actually in your own body when you look at the energy of fear in that bubble, don't forget you have a grounding cord on too, and that's what that grounding cord is for. If you feel a sensation or uncomfortable energy when you're looking at your bubble for courage to change in your next step, go ahead and release it down your own grounding cord. Okay, I have another great energy to look for and see if you can't clean it out of your next step bubble, and that is the energy of blame. Now, blame gets a bad rap most of the time, and so a lot of people don't like to look at perhaps their own participation in blame. So when you go to look to see if there's any blame in the bubble, you might find a couple of different energies of blame. You might find blame that people have directed at you in the past for your courage to take steps in the past. And you might actually find some places where you hold blame against yourself. Now, I know I've talked about this in a lot of my classes and shows. I consider blame energy to be a stop energy. As long as we are in blame of somebody else, we don't recognize where we have a match to that person and are actually inhibiting ourselves from moving forward. If you are in blame, it's extremely difficult to grow, be able to evolve, because blame is a stop energy. So see if you can sense a color for blame in that soap bubble that you're looking at, or if you just get a sense of the quality of that energy. It may be very heavy, it might be prickly, it could feel weighty, like squishy. However you experience that energy vibration of blame, see if you can't let go of that and give yourself permission to get out of blame towards others and towards yourself for just a few moments. Go ahead and see if you can release blame now. If you find while you're trying to release blame that it's difficult, then here's a great suggestion for that. Just start repeating, "I forgive you," over and over to the bubble that you're using out in front of you. And see if that doesn't help encourage some of that energy to loosen and release. Go ahead and try that. Okay, good job. Before we go and clear another energy vibration, let's take a pause and replenish the energy that was just released with a new energy that is your own energy in a higher energy vibration. So you can go ahead and use that simple tool of a golden sun by imagining a huge warm gold sun above your head, and imagine that you're calling all of your information on courage into that gold sun. And when that sun is filled with the gold vibration of your courage, go ahead and bring that in through the top of your head and let that gold fill up every cell of your body. And of course, as you fill the cells of your body with gold, that gold energy will also radiate through your energetic body and into your aura as well. Okay, we're going to clear a couple more energies. The next one is the energy of problems. Now, I tend to find that a lot of people think that a lot of their problems are all theirs. And in fact, many of our problems are other people's problems that they've actually put in our aura for us to solve for them. So take a look to see if anybody has put their own idea of problems in the space of you taking your next step. And I'll give you an example here. Let's say that you decided to go back to school to get a degree, and one of your coworkers has a different idea and tries to tell you that no, that's not a very good idea for you, and that it's going to cost you money, a longer commute, and they go on and on about what the problems are. That person may have experienced those problems for themselves, but that doesn't have anything to do with you and what you want to do for your next step. So make sure you go and look for other people's problems right now. I'll give you a few moments to do that. Acknowledge the color of the energy or colors that represent other people's problems and ground that out. Go ahead and do that now. You might check to see if any of this energy is also problems from family members. Since we've grown up with our families and we've been around them a lot, sometimes our energies are difficult to tell the difference between um, ourselves and a sibling or ourselves and a parent. So they can be similar, but it's still not your energy. So check to see if any of your family members' ideas about problems are affecting your next step. And do the same thing. Just acknowledge it neutrally and send that energy down the grounding cord. Good. Okay. One more energy vibration for you to clear, and this is the energy of resistance. And I can tell you that when I'm looking at a next step, if there is foreign energy already out there in future time for my next step, or sitting in the space where I keep the energy of my next step, a lot of times if it's energy, foreign energy that I don't care for instance, like pain or competition, um, or fear, I may go into resistance. And some of you may find that that's what you are in right now as you go to look at taking your next step. So resistance is a very good energy to work on clearing out of any space, because that is absolutely a stop energy. If you are in resistance to something, not only is it going to stop your growth, but resistance itself acts like a glue. And whatever it is that you're resisting, it's actually going to hold it in place even longer. So imagine recognizing the energy of resistance as a color, or as a sound, or as a feeling. And go ahead and release that resistance. Okay, good job. Now we're going to go ahead and replenish it. So think about the kinds of things that you would like to add to your next step to help you transition through your next step. So you can think of some of the energy vibrations. Of course, courage is great. The energetic partner to courage is the vibration of certainty. So you might want to put some certainty in there. You might want to put in some ease so that it's easy to move into your next step. And you can also add energy vibrations like fun. It can be fun to take your next step. I know it doesn't seem like that sometimes when you're overwhelmed with foreign energy, but that's what we're doing, is clearing out all the old stuff that doesn't belong in there. And now you get to put the vibrations in that you would like. So create a great big gold sun above your head again. And imagine collecting up the energy vibrations you want to have in your next step to make it easier for you. And if you want to relate those vibrations to colors, go ahead and put some of those colors that make you feel good into the gold sun. And when that gold sun is filled with lots and lots of high energy vibration, go ahead and bring it in through the top of your head and let it fill up every cell in your body. And you can let it go down your grounding cord and fill up your aura as well. Good job. I hope you enjoyed that meditation, and I hope that later today or tomorrow you'll start to see that you have a lot more mobility in that space of taking your next step. Join me next week on Thursday at 12:15, where I host Meal and Heal, if you would like to know more about building courage. Next week's Meal and Heal on my YouTube channel is going to be the courage to speak your truth. That's a juicy topic and I cannot wait to do it. So I look forward to seeing you in my next Meal and Heal. And by all means, if you enjoy the videos and the meditations, please click the little thumbs up, and you can also forward it to your friends. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your day.